Yeah.
You got any other stories?
Yeah, just a couple of bits. So that pay-per-view from this weekend, which I haven't watched yet, they're going to be doing that again. There was a general feeling that this one hasn't worked out the way they wanted it to, but it isn't down to ratings. It isn't down to like the relationship with New Japan or anything, because obviously AEW is going to be on New Japan World, and so this is all long term. It's just a case of injuries, and
they think the show would have been better. Let's do it again next year with Punk and Brian Daniels. They're like, they're completely tone deaf to realize like the reason this wasn't interesting is because you didn't make us interested in any of the Japanese guys. So we have no clue who they are. It's like they're tone deaf to that, you know.
But that's the thing. Like they think that they're tone deaf to the fact that they think it's my responsibility and your responsibility to find out who they are. You're not a real wrestling fan unless you know who every Japanese guy is that came on that was on that show, and they almost put the onus on you where they want to make you feel bad that you're not a wrestling fan. You need to be you. It's your job to be a wrestling fan and go onto YouTube, where people have turned around and said, you know what, I don't want to be that much of a fan. I'll just take a break for 4 weeks and come back when the MJF story carries on, which I was actually interested in. But instead, you took the highest thing off TV for 4 weeks and just to give the perception that it's real. The weirdest thing is that if you didn't watch that MJF promo and you are a casual fan, they're not even going to recap it like WWE do, because they're trying to make it look like a real storyline. So if it's a real storyline, you won't recap the shoot promo. Like this is the hole they booked themselves into.
Right.
So,
what do you think about that, Konnan? Because they're going to the Forbidden Door thing is going to be like a recurring thing now. They think it's like they think this was a success, but it wasn't as much of a success as it could have been because, and then their minds, because Punk and Bryan they had the injuries.
Okay, let me ask. Here's one important factor. Joe.
Yes.
What was yesterday's rating for Dynamite?
I imagine it had to have been up because you had a bloody spectacle on for like 45 minutes, and I think that's going to catch channel surfers.
Wow, they went back over 1 million viewers. 1,023,000.
Yeah.
And how much was it the week before?
878.
So they went up a considerable amount, but they also came off of a great pay-per-view.
Well, and they put a pay-per-view match on their show. Bro, that's the thing. They can put important matches on their show and draw bigger numbers.
Yeah.
You know,
well, here's a weird thing about the question you just asked me. I watched that whole Forbidden Door. It was too long for me. I was very tired. The crowd was energized from top to bottom, from beginning to end, bro. They never stopped screaming. I mean, that they made $5 million off of this. It was a huge success. Their pay-per-views are usually very good, including this one. So if they've done really good pay-per-view business, their TV hasn't been as good, maybe because they don't have as much time to prepare for it. Mm-hmm. But I'm in the same boat as Billy is and you are. It's like there's a lot of Japanese guys I don't know. Why can't you inform me? Why do I have to go out of my way to look for it? That's like if somebody came into UFC and Joe Rogan and didn't tell you who they were. They didn't have a video package on them. That's what you do. That's what, you know what I'm saying?
Remember how we talked about this last week, Konnan, when we talked about how, that's important. Like letting people know who people are and, hey, we need a package on Okada.
Right.
Like, as a booker, you say, hey, we need a package on this guy. I want you to.
Yeah, because people are probably looking at Okada and going, wow, this guy's over. Who the is he?
Right. Okay, but let me give you the point here. That says, they talk about their philosophy of like, they don't really, you kind of have to you have to kind of know all the characters already, know about them. Perfect example. Last night, they're lowering the cage. Okay. And like any booker would be thinking, right? Okay, hey, while they're lowering the cage, we need to. Okay, these are some packages. We need a backstage interview with this person. We need some content there, bro. They literally just like showed the cage lowering and just like went to the announcers. And they were talking. They showed the rules, and it was like, bro, it was like 7-8 minutes, and I'm like, it's like,
you could have done a sweet video package.
You could have done interview the guys before they're coming out. Something like you literally just sat there and just showed the cage lowering. I'm like,
that's what's great about WWE. If you miss something, bro, they'll catch you up
Right.
And they attach you because when the video package is done, you're like, wow, I want to see this.
Right.
You know, it's like a double thing. But yeah, that, you know, what he's doing is obviously, you know, what politicians do. They're catering to their base. They're like, our base is very rabid. Our base is what's making us all this money. And if you're not part of our base, then go, you know, find out for yourself, which I don't think is very good business.
Let me give you. This is where I think their business model fails. Okay, is that it showed, bro? Because Meltzer's always talking about, like, you know, these, and like, you know, he's in their ear. They're always trying to draw pay-per-view numbers. Like, okay, we're building for pay. We want, you know, bro. I say you're going to draw the pay-per-view numbers regardless.
Right.
You have a core audience. You're going to get 1 million buys or 100,000 buys, give or take 20. You'll get. You probably never get under 100,000, but give or take maybe 100 to 120,000 buys, right? And you're going to get that regardless. Last night showed, and like previous nights have showed, when they promote a big show for that week, like Blood and Guts, instead of just a regular Dynamite, right? It draws.
Yeah, when you brand it.
Right. When you brand it, when it, you know, because the fans think, okay, it's a bigger deal, I can't miss this and everything. But they could do that on a weekly basis by putting more compelling matches on instead of some of these, you know, putting the jobbers on TV against the guy, you know, stuff like doing old school storytelling bookings. Like, dude, if you want to draw numbers, you got tons of talent. You got, you know, Cole, Page, you know, Punk, all these, put them against each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like every week. It's like you can do it. You know, bro, like Nitro during the NWO takeover, it was Hogan and Macho versus Sting and Luger. So bro, it was like every week there was like a quality match in the main event.
A couple of them.
A couple of them. Like
Eddie versus Ray or Malenko versus Benoit.
It's like we didn't like sit there and say, okay, we're gonna have Eddie versus, you know, Ray versus Prince Iaukea and Eddie versus the Stro. Right. You know, Maestro. Okay. Well, why don't we do Eddie versus Ray? Right. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. And boys goes in, and it's like, oh, this is good. You know. So, but they're in the old school booking philosophy of like, save for the pay-per-view stuff. Dude, you're on TV first and foremost. You look at what you could do to get 1 million views. Honestly, I don't really like the fact they have to bleed and do all these gimmick matches sometimes to get them. But you can put a star quality match, like a heavyweight title match, main event, you know, stuff. You can do that every week and get 1 million viewers. And it's like, you know, next week I guarantee it'll be back down under 1 million, because coming out of this match, it was like, all right, what's going on next week? I don't really know. You know, next week I guess is Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky in a TNT title match for a promo they did like for a minute.
Yeah. I wonder what happens there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, right. It's like there's not a lot of build into the next stuff, you know, so.
But it's just not how you run everything they do is not how you run a business. Like, say we're here doing this, the K100 podcast, and obviously there's a certain amount of money we get from Spreaker, right? And say we have a core audience that we believe are going to listen to us every week. Say we give part of that money we're already getting, and we get Ryback on the show. Say we get all the available people on the show. Like Ryback's currently available; he's not doing anything. You spoke about Braun Strowman. Like, let's say we get Braun Strowman to be a podcast on K100. Let's say our numbers don't go up at all, right? So all the money that we're getting, we now got to share it with Braun Strowman and Ryback, because we thought that they would raise our numbers. If they don't raise our numbers and we're getting exactly the same audience listening to our show, that doesn't make sense for this business. That doesn't make sense for any business. So how are they doing that? How did they make what they made last year? How are they were still doing good pay-per-views. They were still doing 900,000 people. They haven't progressed in 12 months, but they added Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Malachi Black. They added all these people. How is this a successful business? Like, this is not how you do a business at all.
Because you're taking all these guys, you're putting them against the indie guys and stuff. You put them all against each other. That's what people want to see.
But Glenn,
you know, it's just you
hired like all these guys, but did you need to hire 20 guys? Like, could you not have hired Brian and Punk, just 4 or 5? You hired like 20 guys.
You should have.
You do it, even if you book it the way you're saying it. Are you going to get the 1.5 million views that you need, even if you're the booker? Like, and you do it exactly how you're saying it. Are you going to get 1.5 to 1.8 to make this a worthwhile investment?
That's a good point. And here's another thing. Why wouldn't you want to? I understand feeding your base. I'm all for that. But they're already going to be there, and you're already catering to them, and you already have them happy. Why wouldn't you want your business to grow? More people to watch, which means more ad dollars, which means more ratings, which means more buzz, which means more interest, which means more people in the arenas. Why wouldn't you want to educate people more on what's happening with your own show so people aren't, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't understand that part.
Yeah. Well, but my thing I don't understand is just the fact they have all these guys and they just don't put them against each other. Right. You have quality professional wrestlers that know how to cut promos, that have been through the WWE system. They know how to do weekly TV. They know how to do pro interviews. They know how to do backstage segments. Put them against each other.